The extremeness of it makes it easier. Each day is so hard and it's a little dangerous. All the bullshit just fades away. And it's just like, I'm too tired to fight, I'm too tired to argue. Let's just deal with the most important things to keep us safe, keep us on track, keep the project moving forward.
Hi New York Reelers, welcome to another new episode of New York Reel. In this episode my guest is Ryan Pyle. Ryan is an adventurer, he's a producer, TV presenter, photographer, writer, speaker, you name it. We talked about his show Extreme Tracks and ToughRides on Travel Channel and Discovery Channel. Ryan has taken so many adventures around the world. I was really curious to know what is a good idea to him? What makes him think, hey, let's do this, that's a great idea. So you hear it in the beginning of the interview because that was my first question. Enjoy this New York Reel interview with Ryan Pyle. This is New York Reel, I'm Olive. Today my guest is Ryan Pyle. You're an adventurer, you are a photographer, award-winning photographer. You regularly contribute to New York Times, Time Magazine, Newsweek, Wall Street Journal, and you are a Guinness Book record holder for your adventure in China on a motorcycle with your brother.
Right.
And there's so many things I want to talk to you about. Your new show on Travel Channel and Discovery Channel. And where should we start? Welcome to New York Reel.
Yeah, thank you very much. And welcome to the Explorers Club,
Yes.
which is such a beautiful spot. And thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for coming on the show. I'm going to start off by asking you a question. Because we all think that we are adventurous, but compared to you, we probably can take more risk, can go further.
Right.
And what to you is a good idea? Like what is worth pursuing?
Wow.
What is a disastrous idea? Like how do you choose to invest in a journey?
I don't think there's a bad idea. Like, you know, I just think that anything that takes you out of your comfort zone, anything that pushes you out into the world to explore or learn is a good thing. So, you know, if you want to go anywhere and have any kind of experience, then I think it's just positive. Because every adventure, every time you travel, every time you learn and see something new, it's a two-prong attack of just positivity, right? The first thing is you're going to learn about where you go. That's a given, right? You're going to eat different food, you're going to learn about a culture, you're going to learn about a religion, you're going to connect with local people and make new friends. That's all really positive. And the second thing is you're going to learn about yourself. So the second is just like a personal internal development. You're going to gain confidence because you feel like you can do anything, you can go anywhere, you can fit in anywhere. And I think that helps you deal with regular life in a much healthier way. When you do come back, if you ever come back, I never came back, but if you were to come back, that's how it would help you out, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did your China adventure idea sparked in New York City with your brother?
Well, yeah, so right? This goes way back. So I went to the University of Toronto. I graduated from the University of Toronto in 2001.
Okay.
And right away I kind of decided that everyday life in Toronto, Canada wasn't for me. Toronto is a great city, don't get me wrong, but the kind of 9 to 5, I wasn't feeling it. So I moved to China and thought, I think I want to tell stories. Like I want to be a storyteller, but I didn't know how to do that. So I picked up a camera, started writing, started doing some travel stories for local magazines and newspapers, English speaking, in China. There were a few at the time. And then got into the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Time, Newsweek, Fortune, had a few great breaks with that. And it was great, I was a storyteller.
Yes.
I got to travel around China and do breaking news and features and travel and see things, and I was really happy. And then in 2008, we had the financial crisis. Lehman Brothers collapses, the whole world, freezes, and that destroyed the publishing industry. Right. So as that was happening, I started to realize that if I have to rely on newspapers and magazines to pay me to tell stories, then my career was going to be pretty short-lived. And I could already feel the contraction in the industry. So in 2010, I was already thinking I need to get out of being a photographer and a writer and move into other avenues of storytelling. And in New York City in March 2010, my brother Colin and I, we were sitting in Central Park.
Okay. And
we were like, man, and he was in the finance industry, and he's like, man, I want to quit the finance industry. And I was like, man, I want to quit being a photographer, because he was like, I'm tired of the finance industry. He made some money, he did okay, and he wanted to get out and like see the world.
Yes.
And I was like, man, I want to shift my storytelling to like television and film.
Yes.
And then because of that moment, we both decided, hey, we should do something together, because he wanted to change gears, I wanted to change gears, and we thought, okay, let's do a trip in China. Let's climb a mountain. Let's go on a great adventure, right? Because I lived in China. He wanted to come and see me. And then after like an hour of kind of fumbling around, we're like, we should ride a motorcycle all the way around China. He liked motorcycles, I liked motorcycles, but we'd never ridden or done any trips together. And then from Central Park, we went to the Apple store on 5th.
Okay.
Yeah, and we walked downstairs and we went onto one of their computer terminals and we brought up Google Maps. And we started like pinpointing the roads that go all the way around China, and we're like, holy cow, there's like a road that goes all the way around China. And I didn't even really know that. Like, I fly a lot to do my work in China, but I never really traveled the whole country by road, and it was possible. Right. And right then and there, we're like, we have to try to do this. But we both had wives and lives and things like that, so we gave ourselves like a 60-day back out window.
Okay.
So we just we shook on it and we're like, yeah, we're gonna do this. But we got 2 months to convince our families basically that this is somehow a good idea. And that's really hard, because it's like, I want to go away for 60 days and do something really fun for me and leave your wife and kids and whatever at home. So that was really hard. So we both had to finesse that quite delicately. But eventually we did get, family backing.
Most people talk about these things and then they forget about it.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't do that. Like, if you really want to do something, you just have to find a way to do it, even if it means, making trades with your wives for like 5 years in advance, to make sure you get that one chance to do something fun.
Wow.
Yeah, so we did the trip. We left in August 2010. It took 65 days. We did about 14,000 miles, and we went all the way around China without backtracking or overlapping. We made a 6-part television series for Travel Channel, and in the process, without really knowing before we left, we set a Guinness World Record for the longest motorcycle journey within a single country without backtracking or overlapping.
Yes.
Yes.
Because before you guys, people had gone across, but not exactly like your route around the border.
Right. A lot of people go like from one country to another country to another country. Like, people have done much longer trips than us, but not within one country. And the great thing about it is, and this is what so now we make a television show called ToughRides.
Yes.
And China was the first ToughRides. We've since done India.
Yes.
I've done Brazil on my own. I do the series now by myself because my brother's retired from television. But ToughRides is all about visiting one country at a time and trying to travel like as far and as wide within that country as possible to really understand the diversity of one country at a time. Because if you really visit one country at a time really well, and you plan it and you really know where you're going to go, it's kind of like visiting 4 or 5 different countries, because every place in the world is just so diverse, so wonderful, so beautiful.
Because like on the east side is like you have other countries around it. On the west, it's completely different.
Totally different. And
you see the people, you hear the dialects.
Right.
How good is your Chinese?
Not so good. Not so good. So I've lived in China since 2001, and I've struggled with the language immensely.
Have you done any interview in Mandarin?
No, I can't do an interview in Mandarin. I wouldn't feel comfortable.
But you can say hi and
I can say
introduce
hi,
yourself.
Exactly, and I can get by, and I travel in China all the time. So like, my travel Chinese and that vocabulary is solid.
You might be better than me.
Maybe. But actually getting in depth and really kind of expressing myself is very challenging.
But then you realize how much of it is in your tone, and like the way you carried yourself.
Yeah. So we try. We try, but China was an amazing adventure. It was great to have the, you know, the support of doing something like that with your brother, because there were days when you're down and he pulls you up, and there are days when he's down, and you know, having that partnership was always great.
I remember seeing in a video you said 100. Was it miles or kilometers of like down and like of really happy rides, and
well, that's the thing.
It's just ups and downs, and you never know, you're not in control.
No, I mean, that's the beautiful thing about adventure. If you try to control it, it's not an adventure. So you just have to let it go.
We got a quote there.
Yeah, I mean, if you are serious about going out and having an adventure, then you basically have to be very serious about dealing with problems every day and problem solving, and whatever happens, you have to deal with it. You have to roll with the punches. And one of the great things about being, you know, out in an exploration or going off on an adventure is it's full of emotional highs and lows. So, you know, I said that in the show in China, like it's 100 kilometers of feeling really great, and then 100 kilometers of just feeling really horrible. And that specific day, we started off in beautiful sunshine, and it was a great day, and we're riding through the desert. And then, like about 2 hours into the trip, we ended up in a sandstorm. Where there's like lightning, and it was raining, but then there was sand coming at us, and we were like shaking on the bikes on the highway.
It's and like a cartoon.
Yeah, and then we had to like pull off the road and hide in a gas station because it was like so windy. And then after that, it became really nice again. And then we kind of got lost, and we didn't know where we were going. And then in order to get to the place where we wanted to camp that night, we ended up like riding in the dark, off-road, like just super uncomfortable.
What months were they?
August, September, and October at that time, yeah. But that's just the thing. It's like you know, it's great. It's not so great. It's great, you know. And you're just going all over the place. So,
how do you get through the not so great times?
Oh, you just know that they're going to end at some stage, and you just keep going. Like, there's no real recipe for, you know, it's just like, okay, today's not great. So, you know, like my walking trip, I make another show called Extreme Treks on Discovery Channel.
Yes.
And that is exactly what Extreme Treks is. It's like, oh, well, it's raining, and I got to walk up the side of a mountain today, and you just, you know, hold onto the backpack, you know, get the walking, and you just go, and you just, you know.
Treks. Is that's the one with the 4 mountains in China? Yeah.
So season 1, we did 4 sacred mountains in China. It was kind of like a pilot. So I did a pilgrimage around these sacred mountains in China with the local people. So we did Mount Kailash, which is in Tibet. We did Amni Mei Chen, which is in Qinghai. We did Minya Konka, which is in Sichuan province, and we did Karwa Karpo, which is in Yunnan. And each one of the trips was like, you know, 10 to 14 days. You're camping, and you're doing it with Tibetan pilgrims, because these are sacred mountains, holy mountains for the locals. And it was amazing. And then once we did that, it ended up being quite successful, and now we're doing season 2, where we get to travel all around the world. So already in season 2, I've been to Morocco, Tanzania.
Is that why you were in Nepal?
Nepal, Peru, Montana, Western China. We did one in Western China, so I'm still filming that now.
Season 2 covers so many places.
Yeah, we're doing 8 episodes this year, so we have to go to 8 different countries.
And each episode is a different country.
Yeah, each episode is a different country, yeah. Wow. And a really tough walk. So the last week we were in Nepal. We were up in the Mustang Kingdom, which is in central North Nepal, and we did like 130-mile walk in like 8 days through the Mustang Valley.
Wow, that's incredible. When we were emailing each other. That's what you were doing. That's
what I was doing, yeah. Before I left, because up there was no reception, yeah. But it was incredible. Got to see a new part of the world. Got to walk, got to sweat, great, you get to reconnect with nature. And I think the most beautiful thing about that project, that series, is you get to disconnect from life. Like
no Facebook,
no Twitter, no emails, no phone, right? You turn your phone off, you put it in your backpack, and you don't pick it up for 10 days. That's so liberating.
We're just so trusting. It
is trusting, and it's really wonderful, and then you really get a chance to enjoy and focus in the moment and where you are. And I think that's something that we all don't let ourselves do enough, because we're all just distracted with our screens and staring at things when we walk down the street instead of really feeling the moment, which is kind of sad.
So what came to you when you are close to nature? Like, what are the thoughts?
I think the Extreme Treks experience is really great, because when you walk, you get to not only enjoy the environment that you're in and connect with local people and all that, but you also have a huge amount of time to think. And
like meditating all day.
It is almost like that, no joke. You know, you walk for 8 hours a day, you get a lot of alone time, and you get to think about the life the life you have, your family, another project that maybe you want to do in the future, and it's just really pure and honest time to yourself. And again, not enough people give themselves that kind of time to really sit back and think about who they are and what they want, and that kind of gives me that time when I'm on these trips, which is really refreshing. And then you come back into the city and you just feel like you've been cleansed.
That's what New Yorkers need.
That's what all New Yorkers need. And
all city people.
And if they can't do it, they can watch Extreme Treks on iTunes. So
there you go.
There you go. At least they can live vicariously through something I've done. Yeah.
Ryan,
yep.
I want to know, what did you like to play with your brother when you were young?
What did I like to play? I like to play beating him up. No, we had a good relationship, but it was pretty, we were brothers. Mm-hmm. I was older, he was younger, so he would always bother me, and I would always beat him up. And then, but eventually we became really good friends once we kind of became adults, which was nice. But when we were younger, we did everything. We played basketball together, and we both actually had successful basketball careers as amateurs, and that was great. We played a little hockey together. We were very active in sports and things like that. But then then I moved to China and I went to university and stuff, and we kind of lost touch a little bit. So that motorcycle trip that we did in 2010 around China really kind of brought us back in a really positive way.
It's hard to work with friends or family, but this is an even more extreme situation. Like I really admire that.
Well, I think this is the thing. The extremeness of it makes it easier, because each day is so hard, and it's a little dangerous, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're out on
super dangerous.
Right. So
you guys are strong.
All the bullshit just fades away. And it's just like, I'm too tired to fight. I'm too tired to argue. Let's just deal with the most important things to keep us safe, keep us on track, keep the project moving forward. And that's actually, I think, not enough people have that extreme. In those extreme situations where you actually have to just get rid of all the crap and get
so
together.
that these things are not important, like just don't sweat it.
Most things.
So couples need to go on an extreme trek.
I agree. Anyone who's feeling a little down, or couples that aren't communicating well, just go out into the wilderness, leave the phones behind, and you're forced to work together. It's a beautiful thing. I'm not sure everyone will have a similar experience. It might not work for everyone, but I really feel, I feel so much healthier and so much more focused and so much more composed when I come back from doing a long walk or doing a big trip. So it's really helpful for me.
Love it.
Yeah.
So why China? Why did you move to China?
So the story starts way back. I started my studies at the University of Toronto in 1997, and I played Division I basketball in Canada for the University of Toronto. I was a point guard, which was great. Great bunch of guys, loved it. But as a varsity athlete, you really need to have your Fridays off. You got it, because you're traveling every Friday, Saturday to play games, right?
Oh.
So in my second year, I needed to have my Friday off, and I only had like one slot on the Thursday where I could take a class. And the only class that was really available on that Thursday in that slot was Introduction to Chinese History and Politics. Okay. So I took that class with no previous knowledge or no previous interest in China. And I took that class, and it was just like, wow. There's a country with 1.3 billion people that I know nothing about. And that class led to another class, which led to another class, which led to me moving to China after I graduated. So why China? It's because I wanted to have my Fridays off. And then once I was there, I loved it. I think as you travel through life, as you age and have different relationships and stuff, you have like different versions of yourself.
Yes.
Right? You're a husband, you're a son, you're a father, whatever.
Many hats.
Many hats, right? But you're a student, but there was a version of myself I liked best at that young age, where I was traveling around China and not really knowing anything. And I just felt like every day was so intense, and every day I was learning so much, and every day I had to figure out how to do things like communicate, because I didn't speak Chinese, or I had to figure out how to eat. Like, what Chinese food do I like? What Chinese food don't I like? How do I say what I want? How do I travel by train? You know, I was learning. And I felt, and maybe that's something that people would find, you know, disheartening about traveling in China, but I actually loved it. And maybe it's also partially because I wasn't playing basketball anymore. Like, I wanted to be a pro, wasn't good enough. So then I felt like I needed to go to China and punish myself and climb mountains and go through all this challenge and difficulty of trying to eat and trying to go out to the western edges of China. I went to Mount Everest Base Camp. Like, I walked to Mount Everest Base Camp 80 miles through the mountains. Like, I did all these really kind of fun things as a way of finding new challenges for myself, and I just fell in love with it.
It's big enough, you can never get tired of it. You can go this way and that way.
Yeah, and the landscape's so different, it's so pretty, and then that's actually what got me started telling stories, is because I would as I was traveling in 2001 all around China, I would write these big long emails to my family about like all the things I was seeing and all the things I was doing, and I felt like I was seeing and doing them for the first time, and obviously I wasn't. You know, there's lots of people who have been to China before that and done similar things, but I felt like what I was seeing and doing was really interesting, and I felt like I had a unique perspective, and then that got me wanting to write and take pictures and document what I was doing and seeing, and that started the whole career.
I think a lot of people think that it's been done before, but with your sensibility and like with your history, it's a completely new perspective.
Exactly.
So did you, what did you write about or take photos of?
I think the first couple years I was really interested in like travel. So I would like, you know, visit Tibetan areas, stay with local families, go to monasteries, climb like little mountains, or go on like multi-day treks where you had to camp, and I would photograph landscape and people and write like, you know, I would travel from my home in Shanghai out to this place and it's so beautiful, and it was really like travel loggy. And then I was like, wow, I really want to have a career doing this. You know, what's the next step? And the next step was Condé Nast, Travel and Leisure, New York Times, Time, Newsweek, Fortune. And then I got into more harder journalism as I went forward, just as kind of a way to continue the storytelling. And it's such a beautiful, in many ways, a beautiful career that kind of no longer exists in the same way these days.
But things always change.
Things always change. Technology always adapts. But making television now actually gives me the same energy. I still get to travel to the places I want to travel. I still get to tell those stories, but now using, you know, cameras and a little bit bigger crew. But it's the same passion that I had.
How big is your crew?
We keep it really small. So I direct and produce and present the shows, and then I have two camera guys with me, and the three of us go out into the world. And come back with, you know, 60 minutes at a time.
I watch your videos. I'm drooling over your view. Are those drones?
Yeah,
camera?
we use some drones.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
So they will follow your motorcycle?
Yeah, sometimes they're you know, they have a remote control. The guys will fly it over the bike. You know, in Brazil, the drone is so valuable because a lot of people don't know, like, Brazil is just as flat as a pancake in the Amazon. And you can be riding for days in the mud and not know what's around you, because the trees and the jungle are so high, and you're on this little road and it's just flat forever. So having that aerial perspective gives you that
you see
sense
what's coming.
And that sense of isolation and just how alone you are in the world in that particular spot.
That's a very small crew.
Yeah, we do. But we spend a lot of time in the field, and we really try to meet as many people as we can and really have that experience to share with our audiences. So it's intense. But
so you've done China and Brazil and
India.
India was tough. I saw.
Yeah, there were a lot of man tears in India. Like, there were days where it's just like, this is too hard, because India again is this country that has two completely different dynamics. Like, there was the part of India where we didn't have to ride a motorcycle, and we met people and they were brilliant, and the food was amazing, and the culture and the history and the diversity and the religion is just out of this world. Like, if you don't have to travel by road, India is incredible. But then if you have to travel every day, like 8-10 hours on the road, you end up wanting to kill yourself at the end of every day, because the roads are so difficult. The infrastructure is horrible. The truck drivers are trying to run you over all the time. There's bad weather, like everywhere else. And all those things mixed in made it really hard. So the days we didn't have to ride a motorcycle, we were just smiling and loving India. And then the days we had to ride.
How do you transport your motorcycle when you're not riding?
We always ride, every day.
Okay. You just meant literally not riding.
Yeah, like sometimes
you get to like.
Yeah, we would get to a place and then stay there 2 nights, and then we wouldn't ride one day and we'd walk around town and explore, and that was lovely, right? You get to meet people. You don't have to worry about the traffic. Maybe you visit a holy site or a religious site, and then the next day, you know, you would leave that town and go to another town. So those are the days that things would get really hard. Yeah, but there were a lot of nights where it was just like, I can't do this anymore. It really does affect you.
Like deep down, did you know you will always finish, or that you really doubt, like, am I going to die from this?
There wasn't like an I'm going to die from this, but it was definitely like a this is harder than I thought it was going to be. And
give us like a one day of like a difficult, tough situation.
Well, the one day that Colin and I were just both in tears was we were on the road for like 14 hours and we only went 150 kilometers, which is like 120 miles in 14 hours. So you do the math, right? It was just slow and miserable. And the road wasn't paved and there were trucks just barreling down and buses barreling down, and it was just so dangerous. And then, you know, as we were coming into the town where we were sleeping, we couldn't find our hotel. There were like little kids walking across the street
while you're riding
in the dark.
Oh,
like, and Colin almost hit a kid, you know, and just like that alone just shook him totally. Like, so there's all these things that happen to you, and just the density of people in India and how many people are on the road and how dangerous those people live, but they don't know, like they don't understand safety, and it's just a lot to deal with, right? But that's the culture, that's the way that they live, that's the way that they do things, and you have to kind of come to terms with that and still navigate it all safely.
How do you stay alert, like all day?
Well, that's what shatters you. Like, because when you're on the bike, it's 100% focus, it's 100% staying alert, and then the moment the engine turns off and you're done for the day, you just crumble, because you've pushed yourself so hard to not hit something or to be safe, you know, and then when that's done, there's nothing left. And that's where the tears come in. It's just like, that was a really hard day. And then you gotta, like, you know, have dinner, have a beer, wake up and do it again. And then you do that for 60 days.
It's like the finish line tears.
Finish line tears, yeah. But it's like, oh, well, we still have like 30 days. And you're still having finish line tears, but you know you have 30 days ahead. And then those are different tears. It's like, oh my God, I still have 30 days
people
tears.
cry watching your show.
Yeah. But
I know I will.
But it's also beautiful because, you know, then when we finish, then it's like, wow, we really accomplished something. So there's a real sense of you know, reward. And I think that everything that you do in life, you know, it's going to be hard if it's going to end up being rewarding. So there's kind of that idea in mind that it is going to be a tough journey. So
you will document the good and the bad, and like, you know how vloggers sometimes like put the camera out, and then like open the door again to come in and hi, like Casey Neistat.
Right.
Like, you have to kind of imagine the people that are going through the journey with you while you're in the journey, and watching yourself and actually taking the action. Yeah.
It's, you know, you want to be as real as possible, but obviously there's some set pieces, and, you know, with the drone, for example, sometimes we see a place and then we stop and I do that corner again, and we do the drone. So it's not like all real time, real action, but then, you know, there's moments where I'll fall off the bike and the camera will be right there when I get up.
Yes.
And then it's like, ooh, that kind of hurt. And then you have real interaction, and people are coming out to help you. So you know, it's not like a US style reality TV show where there's like, you know, 20 cameras and everyone's just waiting for someone to like yell or swear at their brother or something like that. It's a little bit more, you know, realistic. It's a smaller crew, and it's definitely more focused on the country we're traveling in.
So what are the next places?
So
Can you tell us?
So for the ToughRides show, which is great. So we've done China, that was season 1. We did India season 2. Brazil was season 3. So there will be a season 4. We're going to do it next year, and we're looking at Russia as a really exciting big country to travel across. And I'm really excited to see Russia because it has such a unique stereotype to it. Maybe some might say negative. You know,
still a mystery to a lot of people.
But still a mystery, right? So that's the thing. Like, the key to ToughRides for me is you have this country and it's huge, like India, China, Russia, and it has these stereotypes about it. And now I'm going to get to either confirm or break down those stereotypes by riding my motorcycle every mile through the whole country, and then I'll really know. you know, and then that's great, because then I can come back to the Explorers Club where we are here and give that talk.
Yes.
and share with people what I find and how my experiences play out, and then also share that with my television audience. So it's great, because you go in and you say, actually it's not like this, and the people are actually like this and not like this. So it's really wonderful.
And earlier you reminded me of a quote that I loved. I heard it in a podcast called The Human Experience, with Rob Bell. So he said that every one of us is a unique phenomenon, and the universe have never seen you.
Right.
The universe haven't seen you yet. And that reminded me, like, your journey is completely brand new. Every time, every day you wake up, like, when we watch it, we wake up with you.
Right.
And there's all the unknowns are what makes it interesting. And that people need to remember that we are not following someone. We're not trying to like follow whoever has explored this place, and then you're gonna do it frame by frame the same way. It's all new. I'm so excited for season 4.
Yeah, it should be good, and I think that's important. Like, you shouldn't be deterred to go somewhere just because someone else went. Like, you know, the day you go, the weather, the experience, the people you meet, your own personal baggage that you bring into it, it's all different from everyone else's. And that shouldn't stop you from wanting to see the world or wanting to explore or meet people.
Yes. Like some travel shows, like growing up in Hong Kong, like we have those shows that explore Tokyo. So we're basically like running into a restaurant, eating noodles and shopping. Like, I don't like those shows.
Right.
Because you're doing it for the camera, like, delicious. But this is so interesting what you're doing.
Well, we really try to focus on doing things unscripted.
Yes.
So, you know, we know where we're going to go. We have an itinerary, and we know where, you know, some of the places we're going to stop. But then what happens in between is totally unknown, because you're on the road.
Do you get your friends, like new friends, like people that you meet? Do you get them in the show?
Yeah, totally. I mean, you know, if I'm traveling, so for example in Brazil, and Brazil hasn't come out in the US yet, but I can give you this tidbit. So we're traveling through the Amazon, and right when we come out of the Amazon, like, we're back on paved road, and we're like, yes, we made it through the mud, and we had about 700 miles of mud that we went through. And then when we got back onto pavement, we thought, okay, we're done, right? Yeah. But then the car broke down. Yeah, and then I had to wave down another truck to come and tow us. And the guy that I waved down actually was a Brazilian who had lived in New Jersey for 20 years in the construction industry. And he towed us back to his house. And then he cooked a barbecue for us that night. And we hung out and drank beers and had barbecue with him. And we filmed the whole thing.
That's on the show.
That's on the show.
Oh,
and it was just all unscripted. So, you know, we didn't know we were going to break down there.
Who would know that? Oh.
Exactly. But when you put yourself out into the world,
yes,
obviously good and bad things can happen, but it gives you the chance to meet those people and have those experiences, which was amazing.
Ooh. Can't wait to ask you the 3 questions.
Okay.
Ryan, I'm so glad I got to meet your mother.
Yeah.
She's backstage watching right now. She's somewhere. Graceful. She has really good suggestions. She helped me with my camera.
There you go. She's always helping, so it's really good to have her around.
Yes, and that you guys are so close.
Yeah, very helpful.
So I would like to know if you can Skype, FaceTime, Google Hangout, Zoom with the 18-year-old. Did I say 18? I meant 20.
Yeah.
The 20-year-old Ryan, like, he's right in front of you. What would you say to him?
You know, don't feel too insecure about your place in the world at the moment. Like, you know, things will be okay. I think when we're young, we don't have enough experience in real life, especially when we're in school, because we're very kind of protected from real life. And knowing what you're going to do outside of school and knowing how you make a living and family things can lead to a lot of just apprehension and insecurity. And I would just tell the 20-year-old version of myself to relax and enjoy being 20. And I think the worst thing that you can see in young people is where they worry too much about the future instead of just enjoying the moment. And I think there was an element of that in me as well. And I think that's just the society that we live in and the friends that you have around. You know, everyone's talking about what they're going to do after school, what they want to be, and it's okay not to know. Because if you don't know, you might end up doing something what I'm doing, and I'm kind of happy. So it works out. Like, I think things just work out if you're really passionate and you follow your passions. And not enough people tell young people that. You know, I think it's like, oh, you have to know what you want to do like when you're 18. And it's like, maybe you don't. Because when I was 18, I wanted to go into banking. And then when I was, you know, 20, I was kind of flirting with, I don't know, maybe should I be a lawyer or something? And then when I was 22, I moved to China and did something totally different. So, you know, don't let those societal pressures kind of ruin being young. Because being young is beautiful. Because it's free, right?
Sometimes some of my guests will actually say, oh, work harder.
Yeah, I think work hard.
But you're saying relax.
Well, no, work hard and relax aren't opposites.
Okay.
Right? I think you can relax about putting pressure on yourself. But work hard. Like, working hard is the basis for all reward. Working hard is the basis for all success. Like, no one will get anything in life if you don't work hard. But don't put too much pressure on yourself where you don't enjoy working hard. Or if you're working hard towards the wrong thing and it makes you unhappy, recognize that and change direction. But yeah, no, like, you cannot not work hard. That's the basis for everything, I think.
Do you remember when you were informed that you and your brother broke the Guinness Book of Records? Like, you didn't expect that would happen.
We didn't expect that would happen. We didn't set out with that kind of goal. But someone from Guinness like caught part of our show and caught part of the news that was coming out. And they're like, you guys should give us all the information about where you went, and like hotel bills and gas bills and GPS waypoints and all this kind of stuff, because you might have done something. And we're like, what does that mean? And so we gave them all this stuff, and it took a couple months for them to get back to us. And they're like, yeah, actually, you guys, I think we'd created like a new category.
Ooh.
Yeah, like there wasn't a previous category for this. And I think since then it's been broken by someone else, because I think someone did like a longer trip, also within China. But we were the first, so we kind of created a new category for adventure motorcycle riding, which is very rewarding.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. If the 20-year-old Ryan knows that.
Yeah, because the 20-year-old Ryan didn't even ride a motorcycle and had never been to China. So to do that in China and make a television show about it would have shocked the shit out of 20-year-old Ryan. So that would have been hilarious.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's just how much life can take you in different directions.
You never know.
And you can't not follow those paths, because they can take you to happiness or take you to some creative outlet that'll make you, you know, enjoy your life a little more maybe. Yeah.
So my second question.
Oh, that was the first question. Okay, second question.
Second question has 4 parts.
4 parts.
So, in order to have a good life, to be balanced, and what are the advice you would like to give New York Reelers in the area of health, wealth, love, and happiness?
Health, wealth, love, and happiness.
Yes.
So
how do you stay healthy on the road?
How do you stay healthy on the road? That's really hard, because I just filmed for like 2 months in Canada, and staying healthy on the road was really hard, because you're in gas stations. It's hard to, you're eating a lot of bad food and stuff like that, processed things. It's quite difficult. But I think health, you know, mental health, physical health, super important. And I think it all really stems on your own kind of vision of your own life. I mean, are you happy when you wake up every morning? You know, do you like to go to the gym? Do you like to sweat? Do you like to feel like you're getting stronger every day? You know, that has so much to do with, I think, being active, being aggressive, chasing what you want. I think it's great. I hope everyone out there, you know, has something that they can do to release that physical, you know, energy that they have, whether it's yoga or Pilates or weightlifting or boxing. You know, all that stuff is just super great. And I think all that has a lot of mental benefit as well.
Do you feel like the more good things you do, the more you're attracted to it? Like the more like bad food you eat, then you just kind of feel...
Yeah, I mean, if you eat, you know, and I love ice cream and I love candy and all that kind of good stuff, but if you're eating that stuff all the time, it's just going to pull you down. I think that's, you know, diet is so important, getting regular exercise is so important. Being around positive people is just so important to feeling healthy. And I think, you know, if you have friends that drag you down and all this kind of stuff, you know, you got to kind of cut them loose, because you can't have that kind of negativity in life. Life's too short. You know, if people are negative around you, if you can help them or they need help, then you do that. But if they're not and they're just kind of like that, you know, you can't let that influence you. You know, you have your own life to lead, you've got places to go, you've got people to see, you have your own family to raise, and that has to you have to find your own happiness. What was the other?
Well, it's kind of smoothly going into happiness now. Happiness,
yeah. It's funny, you know, you'll meet people who are librarians for 40 years and they go to the same office every day and they're so super happy. And then you'll find people who hate office jobs and hate their lives and they want to climb mountains and they're happy in the mountains. Like everyone has their own vision of happiness and they all just have to find it and not allow too much societal pressure to tell them what to be or what to do. And you know, I think people who don't need to travel and who don't need to you know, push themselves out into extreme situations, I find that happiness is amazing because that's great for them, that they can kind of do, you know, a routine every day and still be cheery and happy and amazing. And but I can't do that. I have to go out and do other things that are a little harder, maybe physically, that involves a lot of travel. So that's where I kind of find my happiness. I mentioned earlier that the trekking, the walking, the being disconnected from the world is really powerful for me. And I even bring my family out on some of these trips, not while I'm filming, but I've done, you know, treks with my kids.
How old are they?
They're in high school now. But I've done some treks with them where we go out and we, you know, unplug from the world, and it forces you to talk.
Yes.
It forces you to say, you know, how you're feeling, and you know, these are conversations that you don't get in everyday life. So I get a lot of happiness from disconnecting and spending time either filming with my guys and exploring the world or traveling with my family. Yeah.
So, wealth?
Wealth. What is wealth, right? Means something different to everyone. Is it monetary value? Is it family? Is it happiness? Is it mobility? You know, wealth means so much to so many different people. For me, it's being creative. You know, it's getting a chance to tell stories. To me, you know, it doesn't really matter what jobs I'm doing or which ones pay better than others. It's just the fact that I get to tell stories and that I get to create something in my mind and then produce it and share it with an audience. That is just, I'm the richest guy in the world because I get to do that. You know, it's me and Warren Buffett, you know, battling it out just because I get to create something in my mind, and then that gets distributed, you know, around the world, and people who want to find it can. And I think, and that's just the most amazing thing in the world. So that's where I generate a lot of my wealth feeling from, is being creative.
I love that you said wealth can be mobility. I never thought about that.
I think it's a huge thing. You know, what's that movie with George Clooney, Up in the Air? Yeah, where he's traveling all the time and he's like one of the super elite mile guys, whatever. But he has he has a great line in that movie where he's like, moving is living. So, and I think a lot of people feel like that. Mm-hmm. And for me, I feel like that. Like, I feel like I wanna travel, I wanna see the world, I wanna meet people, because I get something from meeting people. You know, whether it's living in a remote village in Nepal and filming, you know, with a family there, or having a chance to meet you today. All of that brings me wealth and happiness, and getting a chance to touch all these people's lives, getting a chance to know and learn about all these people is what drives a lot of my happiness. Yes, I have a domestic life, I have a wife, I have kids, I have all this. That drives a huge amount of my happiness. But then I have this other professional desire, and I get that from kind of connecting with people. Yeah.
So wealthy.
Trying every day, like a good New York struggle.
And the last thing is love.
Love. What do you love? Do you love your puppy? Do you love your family? Do you love your mobility? Do you love your freedom? Do you love your iPhone? Materialism has grabbed us by the necks and choking us to death. So for me, you know, love is many facets of life, but obviously the love of your family, I guess your immediate family, is the most important thing, and having that kind of comfort zone and that security of having relationships that mean a lot to you. And they can be friends as well. Like, it doesn't have to be, you know, people who are actually married by law, but having that kind of group of friends is really important. People you can bounce ideas off of without feeling threatened or insecure is really important, I think, for people in the creative industry as well. But yeah, love is crucial. You got to have some people out there who care for you, I think, and so you can return the favor, so you feel human. I think that's one of the single most important elements to being alive. So hopefully there's a lot of people out there that feel loved by someone and can give it back. Yeah.
I just don't interrupt. I like to hear you go on.
Well, when I go on, I'm always worried. Like, where do I stop?
No, this is great.
Yeah.
Wow. So the next question is, what is your favorite memory of New York City? So we knew about you and your brother in Central Park that day.
Yeah.
But overall, can you share one or two your New York City adventures or just memories?
Yeah. I think I've been bringing my kids to New York for a long time, so I think some of my...
Because you're so close to Toronto.
Yeah, and we were actually living in Shanghai, and my kids used to go to summer camp, you know, in upstate New York and stuff like that. And that was always fun to bring them here and let them see, you know, New York City and bring them to, you know, Broadway plays and take them to museums and stuff like that. So that's always been a highlight for me to see, you know, to kind of... New York is so special. It really is, and there's no other city in the world like it. So to be able to bring your kids here and kind of share in them with the, you know, the things that make New York special, whether it's as silly as just taking the hop on hop off bus, which I did way too many times, but loved it, or taking, you know, I remember the first time I took my kids to the top of the Rock, and they were just stuck to that glass wall, just like, oh, I can't believe New York. Like, they'd never seen anything like it. And they're from Shanghai, but Shanghai is different, right?
But you do have tall buildings.
We do, but it's home. So for them to come like halfway around the world and have that kind of like wide-eyed experience, because that's what I get when I travel. It's the same thing. So you try to share that, you know, with the next generation, which is great. And then I think the you know, my brother and I sitting in Central Park just thinking, yeah, we'll make television now. I think that's just so naive and so ridiculous, but so just beautiful. Like that, you know, two people can just say, right, we're going to do something. And we were so green and so inexperienced and so naive at that moment, but it was so pure and so raw and so what we wanted to do. And the fact that we had a chance to do that is just amazing. So that'll always be one of maybe my best highlights. I remember we were eating Subway sandwiches. You know, I had like a Snapple. We were sitting on the Rock, watching kids on the swing. You know, we were right there on the southern edge of the park.
What did your Snapple lid say?
That's a good question. I wish I'd remembered. Yeah, travel far. I wish I'd remembered, but yeah, I remember, you know, it's a sunny day. You know, when you make decisions like that, you can really sometimes remember the moment, and that was a pretty wild one. A great moment. And then I think professionally, I think having a chance to come to the Explorers Club and give talks here, because now I've done some things in life, and I've done some trips and explored and had some adventures, and then being able to come here to New York, which is such a great community for this, and be able to share my trips with fellow adventurers and travelers and stuff like that, and even be, you know, interviewed by people like yourself and have a chance to share my passions for this is a dream come true. So I thank you for that.
Oh. Thank you.
No worries.
Like, I feel like there's so many more questions. It can go on and on. Randomly, I saw on your Instagram that you posted a photo of a movie that I also like, the Nightcrawler. Why would you post that there? Why was it special to you?
You know, first of all, Jake Gyllenhaal is an amazing actor. So I'll pretty much now watch anything he's in. I just find him really amazing. His latest one, Demolition, was...
I haven't seen it.
Oh my God. Really good. I just find him so interesting to watch. But Nightcrawler, he just went in a totally unique direction. It was such a creepy movie. And the way that this kind of like guy who can't find his way, you know, works and wheedles his way into doing these television productions for news, and how his desire to succeed is just so dark. But
we're kind of on his side, even though he's weird.
Until he starts like sabotaging the other news van and actually setting up like hit the crimes and being there before the police.
Scary.
And yeah, but I just felt like it was such a creative movie.
Me too. Not a lot of people liked it. Every time I brought it up, people were like, boring. And I also read that he filmed everything at night.
Yeah.
So he remember the lines like of the whole movie like a theater stage play, because they need to start and cut like anywhere they need to, because they only have the location for that many hours.
Right.
And just imagining filming that, it's like a dark like journey.
Well, I just think like, who wrote that? I mean, I didn't necessarily catch the name of the writer, but that's such a creative process to come up with a character like that, and to put him in those kinds of situations, and then to have it executed as well as he did, and the director and the whole team. I mean, that is such a creative process, and that's what really inspires me, is when you get a chance to watch a feature film. And critically it was great. I don't know if it did well commercially. It doesn't matter. Like, that's just such
people know about it.
Such a great opportunity to make a film like that. I'm always drawn to these kind of darker stories that like that must have been hard to make. Like Captain America: Civil War. Okay, that you made $1 billion. Congratulations. But you're going to make another, and there was one before that, and you just keep the process going. But to make something like the Nightcrawler, I'm sure the director and the writers had to fight for years to get them to believe that Jake Gyllenhaal could play that dark.
Oh yeah, because character. Before that he was not getting these kind of roles.
No, and I think he's gone out of his way to do that, which is just awesome.
Yeah.
So I think it was a great movie. I'm always drawn to strangeness.
I'm glad I get to ask you this question, because I saw it, I was like, I like it too.
Yeah.
Do you think one day we will make a fictional video as a film?
I would love to make a feature film someday. Fiction, yeah. I'm very interested in storytelling, and I think that at some stage maybe I'll have a chance to gravitate towards that. I think that I'm already producing and directing television shows, so as long as I can find a story that I really believe in and I have the vision to really tell it, then that might be something I'd really like to do. But the medium of storytelling, I think, is really powerful. So
yes,
it'd be a lot of fun. And it'd be a lot easier physically than walking in the mountains or riding a motorcycle.
Well, you've already done the hardest, like on location.
Right.
No script.
No script.
Yeah, I just find it so fascinating that you have that storytelling, artsy side of you, the photographer, and also you handle reality so well. And it's like marrying both, and that's what we get to enjoy.
Right.
So thank you.
Thank you.
So where can neo-reelers and everyone else connect with you?
So I'm on Facebook at Ryan Pyle, RyanPyle. I'm on Twitter at Ryan Pyle. I'm at Instagram at Ryan Pyle. And for anyone that's interested in the ToughRides series, which is my motorcycle show, they can watch that on iTunes. There's Blu-rays on Amazon. There's books on Amazon. And then for the Extreme Treks, that's also on iTunes and Amazon. So people can find that by searching Ryan Pyle or Extreme Treks and ToughRides. So everything's out there.
Yay!
It's in the world. And
what do you get on the most often? Like, you like people to reach out and say hi?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, just reach out, say hello. Facebook, tweet me. I'm always writing back to people. I'm definitely, I'm of the age of the internet and social media, and you gotta just reply to people and have conversations and connect. And the more we're all connected, I feel like the better we all are. So it's really fun. Unless I'm in the mountains for 2 weeks filming, in which case I won't get back to you right away. But I will get back to you when I get down from the mountain. So I'll be back.
Exciting. I'm excited for your next adventure, and I'll be paying attention to what happens in season 4.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we do hugs on your
video. Oh, I do? Okay.
Yeah. So
Great.
you get into my camera, I get into your camera.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Thank you for having me.